BREONNA, at the time of her death, she was working department as an ER tech. She had dreams to become a NICU nurse. Talking to her friends and family, she's the type of person that would light up a room. Her smile would light up a room. She would help anyone. As we've seen, an outpouring of support from those who've known BREONNA. She was very family oriented. She was big sister. Her little sister Janiyah just loved being around her. In fact, Janiyah lived with BREONNA at the time that this happened. And but for her being out of town, Miss Palmer could have very well lost both of her daughters due to the reckless actions of this narcotics squad.
That's Juanita Baker. She's the attorney for the family of BREONNA Taylor. BREONNA Taylor, an EMT, was shot and killed by police. It's a story that has been causing a huge uproar, but things hit a peak last night in Louisville. Here's more. Protesters in Louisville, Kentucky demand justice for BREONNA Taylor, a 26-year-old EMT who was shot to death by Louisville Metro Police back in March. Local reports say 500 to 600 people were protesting Thursday night when shots rang out. At least 7 people were shot, police say. No officers fired their guns, and they are actively investigating these shootings. This morning, the mayor of Louisville called for calm.
But we must find a way to stop this cycle of injustice. But the violence and demonstration and the destruction that we saw last night will not get us there.
The governor of Kentucky read a statement from BREONNA Taylor's mother asking protesters to continue to demand justice peacefully.
As BREONNA devoted her own life to saving other lives, to helping others, to making people smile, and to bringing people together, the last thing she'd want right now is any more violence. Please keep saying her name. Please keep demanding justice and accountability, but let's do it the right way without hurting each other.
Taylor died in a hail of bullets as officers working on a narcotics investigation served a no-knock warrant to search her apartment. Taylor and her boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, were awakened by pounding at the door. Walker called 911 and grabbed his gun, thinking intruders were breaking in. He fired through the door, shooting one of the officers in the leg.
Status of the officer. He's down. We got tourniquets on him. Where is he shot at? On the leg, ready? One leg. We got tourniquets on him.
On Thursday, the 911 recording of Walker's call was released by attorneys representing Taylor's family.
911 operator, where's your emergency?
I don't know what's happening. Somebody kicked in the door and shot my girlfriend.
Where was she shot at?
I don't know. She's on the grill right now. I don't know.
Walker was charged with first-degree assault and attempted murder of a police officer, but prosecutors have since dropped the charges. The officers involved in the shooting, Miles Cosgrove, Brett Hankinson, and Jonathan Mattingly, have been placed on administrative reassignment pending the outcome of the investigation, which the Kentucky Attorney General is reviewing to determine if any charges should be filed against the officers. Taylor's mother is suing Louisville Metro Police, accusing them of acting recklessly.
They entered into her home unannounced, and they murdered her. It's unacceptable. The family would like for these officers to be held accountable. They would like for them to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Police maintain they acted properly. The FBI is launching its own investigation. Meanwhile, in the wake of Taylor's death, her family has called for an end to no-knock warrants. Louisville Metro Police have since suspended the practice. Neither Taylor nor her boyfriend had criminal records, and no evidence of any crime was found during the police search of her apartment. All right, so in that piece, you heard the beginning of the 911 call, and I think it's an important part of this story. I'm going to play for you the rest of that 911 call. Let's take a listen.
911 operator, where's your emergency?
I don't know what's happening. Somebody kicked in the door and shot my girlfriend. Oh my God.
Okay, how old is your girlfriend?
She's 26. Breathe. Oh
You said 26. Where was she shot at?
I don't know. She's on the grill right now. I don't know.
Okay. You said she's 26. Is she alert and able to talk to you?
No, she's not. Breathe. God.
Okay. And you said you're in apartment number 4?
Hell, oh my God.
You said Kenneth?
Help.
Okay. Can you check and see where she's been shot at?
I can't get on her stomach. No,
Okay. Is she alert and able to talk to you?
No, Bree.
Okay.
I think she's alright. Oh my God. What the Oh my God.
Can you get her turned over on her back? I need you to check her and see where she shot at.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I gotta go, Mama.
Okay.
I gotta go you back.
Kenneth? Kenneth, can you hear me?
Again, that was all police, no-knock warrant, getting in there, and that's how all of this happens. Let's bring in my colleagues, Julie Grant and Chanley Painter, to talk more about this. Chanley, I just want to start with Kenneth Walker first, the boyfriend. He made the 911 call. What has he been through since that day, since that moment?
That was so hard to listen to, first of all. I mean, he was arrested within 20 minutes after this happened, and he was charged with assault and attempted murder. And again, this happened on March 13th, more than 2 months ago when this happened. And he was arrested, like I said, but then he did talk to the police after he was arrested. He said, the affidavit says that he admitted that he did shoot at police officers, but he thought they were intruders into the home. And he was released on home incarceration for a while. But again, as of May 22nd, more than 2 months later, prosecutors have now dropped those charges against Kenneth Walker. And yet, I guess the bigger picture here is the FBI is still investigating this case and how the officers handled this whole situation that night. It's just tragedy all the way around. We know that these officers were in plain clothes. They were in an unmarked vehicle and executed this no-knock warrant in the middle of the night.
Yeah, Julie, I've never been a fan of the no-knock warrants. I'm just not. I mean, we live in a country with a Second Amendment. I mean, people can lawfully own firearms inside. You just knock down a door. It's dangerous. It's just dangerous all around.
Absolutely, Vinny. It's dangerous for everyone. The people inside their own home. Breonna Taylor in her own home, the place where she should have felt the safest in the whole wide world. And it's also dangerous for the officers. That's the thing that's really puzzling to me and makes this all the more head scratching, is it's dangerous for them. And we see, as evidenced in this case, one of the officers was shot here, albeit in the leg, and he's going to recover. Certainly could have been worse, but there's a danger both ways. You're right. And these no-knock warrants, I really want to point something out for our viewers. I learned a lot really digging into this today. I have to tell you, when I was a prosecutor, I handled a lot of gun and drug cases. That was, I would say, primarily what I was tasked with. And never have I ever had one involving a no-knock warrant. And it was really puzzling me, thinking, is this something rare? Is this just something I haven't experienced? And I reached out to my future brother-in-law, who's actually a narcotics expert and a longtime narcotics detective. His name is Joe Fabus. And he said in all the 15 years that he has served, never once has he had one of these, and never once have any of the colleagues that he works with had one either. So it's very difficult to even get a court to approve of this. So this really kind of makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up, thinking, does this happen often for the Louisville Metro Police Department? Because studying this warrant today, here's what we know. We know that they had some crime tips in, multiple crime tips, saying that there was suspected drug activity. Okay. They were surveilling that home, noticed cars stopping and then leaving in a very brief time period, which can be indicative of drug activity. And they had served a warrant back in December 30th, recovered some guns and some drugs then. But I've got to tell you, this to me does not warrant that. It seems like a very weak statement in that no-knock warrant for the history of the activity and then the risk of destroying evidence. Well, guess what? There's a risk anytime police go to the door to serve a search warrant that the folks inside might destroy the evidence. So here this seems very weak, and I wonder if this is common practice, Vinny. I certainly hope not.
Yeah, unfortunately, through the years, I've covered some extremely tragic stories involving no-knock warrants, because if you knock on the wrong door or even if you knock on the right door. And in the end here, they were knocking on the door that they were supposed to, according to their warrant, but inside they found nothing, Julie. So it was a no-knock warrant about nothing. And it turns into a shootout for no reason other than the fact that it's a no-knock warrant. I mean, you can do surveillance of the house if you want to get, you know who's coming in, who's coming out. If you want to get the homeowners, you arrest them when they come out. Eventually, people are going to come out of their house. It's going to happen. If you're worried about them flushing the stuff down the toilet, tell the water company, get a warrant for the water company to shut down the water. I don't know. There's got to be safer ways to do it, Julie.
Yes, absolutely, Vinny. Yes, yes, yes. And when we think about destroying evidence, that can happen in any case. So really, this was something that that my future brother-in-law was explaining to me. You have to think about really extenuating circumstances. Like, for instance, do they have a drug manufacturing setup that is near something to dispose of the narcotics, like near a toilet? Or do they have a door, maybe a double door kind of system where it's going to take officers much longer to get through the door and make entry? And if they have some reason to know that there's not going to be enough time. But generally speaking, police are going to knock and announce, and then usually they're going to hear somebody running and moving around inside, which is going to indicate somebody's home and perhaps trying to destroy the evidence, and boom, they break the door down. There they go. But here we don't have that. We know these folks had a video camera and they were doing their surveillance. Okay. I mean, this just seems like very typical drug activity that was suspected. It doesn't seem like there were those extenuating circumstances that would provide for the no-knock entry, Vinny.
Right. It has to, and you hit the nail on the head. Some sort of extenuating, some extraordinary circumstances which did not exist here.